So in the last video, part 2, we built Blast's chest or body, and he's still on the breadboard on the platform. And the next step is going to be to put his arms together. So that's what I'm here to do right now, is to get his arms going. And I think that's going to use 2 more of the small motors. I have since learned that there is a large motor, and I believe the ultrasonic sensor and the color sensor. So a lot of new cabling to do. So let's get started. On to the next activity. I have the sound turned off on the video. You can see they're calling this armed and ready. Build Blast arms and program the sensor to see you. All right. And let's get into the building. Without further ado, I still have my parts here on the kitchen counter. I still have my parts in the little Corel bowls. There are 48 steps to put the arms together. I suspect there'll be some repeat between the steps and then some differences, of course, because each arm has a different sensor. But let's go ahead and get started. So step 1, I call these like arm parts or hockey puck parts. This one is not too, has a little, it's not the one that looks the most like a hockey puck or a hockey stick. But here we go. That bag only has one of them. I'm going to have to find another one in a minute, but we can go ahead and put the pins in and complete step 1. And it's the small blue pins and not the large ones. Yeah, here's the other bracket that we're going to need. So. That first pin, the blue one, has crosshairs, and it was put into crosshairs on the beam. And the other end acts like a normal pin. So 3 black pins and 2 of these small blue pins. Complete. And it wants us to get out one of our motors, which we calibrated in part 1. So they're ready. They should be ready to go. I was telling my Lego boys the other day that the Lost in Space robot is my original favorite robot, the robot as he's most often called. And so I thought it would be fitting if I wore that shirt today. So it has the gray platter up and closest to us with the flat side. And I think I see how this goes here. It's a little puzzling that they don't show the back view, but it's enough to line it up. I think a lot of people would have liked to have seen the other side. And now it's calling for a beam that is 7 tall, just a flat beam. Yeah, I got parts galore here, and none of the ones are ever right in front of me are the ones I need right that minute. So it's not in that bowl, I don't think. And that's the most time-consuming part of the whole build, is just simply grabbing the pieces that are the pieces that you most need, or that you need for a certain step. Everything, actually putting the pieces together doesn't take too much effort. I'm finding black 5s. I see 3s. I've got all of these L shapes. one bag that is not out all the way is probably the bag that has these pieces. Those are pretty long. No. There's 7s, and I have not come across any 7s yet. Why is that? Okay, I'm sort of getting really annoyed now. Maybe I'm definitely absolutely getting annoyed now. Okay. Okay, I'm back after spending way too much time finding a 7 beam. Not the end of the world, though. I mean, I knew it was here. It was just a matter of seeing it. There are a lot of L-shaped and hockey puck-shaped beams in this kit, and it just was causing me a little bit to not see what I was looking for. All right. So we are complete now through step 3. And it's going to have us set this down for a minute. And what I believe it's doing here is just having us build the other side of the holder for the motor. And so it was sort of having me put the pins in the same place as I did a minute ago, which makes total and complete sense because it's going to go into the same mounts just on the other side of the motor. Now, when you're putting these pins in, you know, assuming you're fairly confident of where you're putting them, you really need to make sure that they're all the way in and totally secure and that kind of a thing. So one of these pins is a longer pin, and that goes into a 5 beam. Those, luckily, I'm not having quite as much trouble finding. Looks like it goes in the middle, and a couple of black pins on top. And then it fits into the pin that the longer beam here. Goes into the bottom like so. And then there's a nice spacer, which happens to be handy right here. It's just a little round cylinder. And now, as we would suspect, this is going in on the open side. And there is really just the one. Trying to orient myself properly. All right, I believe it goes like that. So not completely symmetrical, but close, All right. And each step along the way, you want to take just a minute to eyeball everything in the picture and make sure you're in agreement that you've got stuff lined up correctly. We used these gears the other day. I guess I'm going to call it a gear. It's not your traditional gear, but we used them the other day to help calibrate our motors, and I did not pull them back apart, so they're still kind of together from that. And I'm just using one of the longer pins to help me get it back apart. It's a nice little technique to do that. All right, and now I have one of these guys ready to go. And it wants us to put 2 of these half axle pins into it before we press it in place. And the thing of it is it wants that to go in there, but in order to get it into place, I did have to push out just a little bit on the gears on the side beams that I had already installed to put it where. All right, so I'm just going to add 2 L-shaped pieces on now. You got to be careful with these L shapes. Some are bigger than others. This is the bigger size. I do believe there are some of the smaller size in the kit. Yeah, here's the smaller size. So you can see the difference. Make sure you grab the right one. And the beauty of this pin is it's actually 3 studs long. It's 3 instead of a 2. And it's really great for, I said, it's really great for allowing you to join 2 pieces together and then be able to attach that piece to something else. So in joining the 2 pieces together, see, we still have a place where we can affix it to the rest of our project. And it's really hard to see that, but it is pointing with the arrow to say put it into that blue hole, which of course at this point is still letting it move around a little bit. And now it's asking for a fairing piece. It's asking for a number 1. The numbers on these pieces are inside, and they're not a different color, they're the same color as the piece, but you can see it's saying a 1, and there is usually a left and a right, and so 1 is going one way and 2 would be going the other way. And it's just going to attach that here. Now normally these pieces are symmetric. I'm going to take it back off for a minute because it's asking me to attach this other piece to it as well. To me, that looks like it's going to be really super tight. But we shall try it. Ah, all right. So what it is this has got to go in here on the side and then attach. And I'm not sure that was super clear to me. And also that doesn't look right. Apparently I missed something. So let's back up here for a second. I had to get up and change the camera battery. Like I said, at the first time, okay, I missed the 5 long here. I did the L and then I missed the 5. When things seem like they're not lining up, pause and go line them up better. Go figure out what you did. I try to be smooth, especially when I'm filming, but the camera battery dying then sort of, I'm going to go with that story. It kind of distracted me. And it also looks like I missed the second one of these. I don't know. I just like basically totally skipped a couple steps, which I didn't mean to do. Sometimes when you do the same thing 2 steps in a row, they start to all look the same. Although it's early in the day today for things to be looking the same. So I've got I think this is pretty typical for folks, though, when they are building. I'm sure there are some people that can look at it and they never make a mistake. That's not me. I prefer to be one of those people that can make the mistakes and then figure out what I did wrong and keep on going. All right, I think that's correct now. They kind of come together in there. And I put the L on, and now I'm ready to put on, I think, the fairing piece. Let's go back here. So this, because this is a double, so that's fine. All right, I see. See the error of my ways. I really did mess that up. I'm sorry. I apologize. So it wasn't 2 of those L pieces. It was this 5 piece going into the L, although that's not going to really change our, it's not really going to change us up too much. Now let's see if this fairing piece will go on any better. I'm still a little skeptical of how it's going to work. All right, it's fitting properly now. So like I said, if each step along the way, you got to keep looking at the pictures. You've got to make sure that what you have built looks like what's in the picture. If something is obviously a stud off, you'll know because there'll be a gap. It's okay to make mistakes. You just back up, try to catch it sooner than later, back up, fix it, and move forward. Don't spend too much time thinking about it. I guess I'm pretty confident I can get myself out of anything I can mess up. And I just go from there. So we're on step 10 of 48 now. And it had me just put in this 3 long blue pin into this fairing piece. And then it's having me put on these other connector pieces. Yeah, the only thing I really had trouble in all of the parts laying my hands on was the right length beam a few times. These connector pieces and stuff, I haven't been really having. And see, I accidentally grabbed, there's two kinds, and one of the ones I grabbed because it was right beside the one I needed was the wrong one. And now I believe I have this as expected. So 2 white spacers. And 1 more long pin at the top. See, there's a stop so that one of the lengths is separate from the other 2 lengths, and it's very useful for keeping it from sliding all the way through and making sure you, know how far to push and that kind of thing. I'm looking for a special axle now. This is a part that, or pin. This is a part. There's only a couple of them in the set. So they're a little harder to find. When I was working with the EV3, maybe the extension pack had some of these, but the whole set, the original set, didn't. And I ended up having to order some of these. We were in the middle of building something one day at the school, and it's like, oh no, we don't have what we need for that. So this is going to go in from the side, and it's actually going to hold those 2 wheels together because right now they're loose, they're moving around. So that pin being too long is going to hold that together nice and sturdy and solid. It's feeling firm. It's feeling good in my hand now. And he says I can mount it onto boost. So power button is on the right. I'm going to line it up like that. See if I can put it here. And then it wants me to stick, trying to see what I'm sticking it through. I guess the top part. Okay, the top part on the outside does have the crosshairs. So it will go in nice and tight. It won't slip. And he's just showing us one more picture, asking us to connect the arm wire into his head. Still not quite used to these ribbon cables yet over the other cables that I have, but I am making do. You can see the arm. And now we're on to the arm for the other side, the color sensor, the one with the color sensor. And like I said, it's going to be really similar with these hockey puck pieces surrounding both sides of the sensor. Get myself oriented properly here. Yeah, I don't care what you use to put your parts in, but you got to use something. You're going to need something to dump your parts in. What would have been nice is if I had gone and gotten one of my Harbor Freight bins. I don't have an empty one right now, and sorted the parts probably before I started building. That would have been good. That would have made my life a little bit easier, I believe. Live and learn, live and learn. And here we go, connecting a 5-beam back up. We're going to use one of our handy dandy spacers again, the teal color this time. You know, I work where I've got room to work. It is what it is. I could use a little more space. Looking at my pictures, making sure everything looks like it lines up before I move on to the next step. And I'm going to try something just a little different here so I can stop reaching over top of the computer screen. And I'm going to put some of my bowls for parts here to my left. Try to make myself just a little more efficient. I think that'll help quite a good bit with the up and down part. This time they have a black spacer. I do not believe there is any functional difference in the spacer color. Just some are teal in this set, some are white, and some are black. Obviously, if you're going to put out teal or white, you probably want someone to be able to see it. And black, it's just fine if it's hidden. So, you know, I'm grabbing the parts I need, I'm sticking them together, then I'm affixing, sort of, you know, going in a rotation there. And I'm going to need to take this guy apart now. Just any other axle or pin. It's better to use a short one, or you find one and use the same one every time and don't build with that one, because they can get a little warped in doing that. Or you can drop them. Whoever said building Legos didn't get you some exercise? So I'm noticing in the picture that they left this blue pin not used so far. I believe that picture looks correct. Not color sensor right this second, but ultrasonic. First time using this sensor, the new ultrasonic sensor. So both ends have 2 holes, and it wants me to attach with a couple black pins on the right. That's going to be used to attach the color sensor. The kit out of the box came with 4 motors, the ultrasonic sensor, and 1 color sensor. And it's showing 2 holes up. It kind of makes no sense to me. Okay, so it's attaching into the back. There are 2 holes on 2 sides and on the back. There we go. It took me a minute to see the orientation. And now it wants me to mount this onto my stick on this 1 hole down here with this. Like so. The top one or the bottom one? The bottom. They did give me a nice little inset picture here, and it is pointing at the bottom, the one away from where the ribbon cable is coming out. Okay. I believe that to be correct. And then it says I'm going to lean back and I'm not happy with how it's lining up. Let me see the next picture. No? One, two, spacer, this piece, the pin, I mean, it aims, it's sort of like it's 1 hole too far. So I'm thinking that that black pin is not where it's supposed to be. Yep, it was 1 hole off. It just didn't feel right. Now it appears to line up correctly. So when it's not lining up, it's because you put something in the wrong place. Back up and look. If we go back a few steps, you can see here I had put the pin in this hole and it needed to be in the second hole away from the axle. So we're good now though. When you stop and you fix and you don't keep on going when it doesn't feel right, it's usually a fairly easy to fix. And now we're building the attachment to come in from the other side. There's 3 pins total here. Won't make the same mistake twice. Oops, I put them in backward. Put them into the right end from the wrong side. So that one is 7 long. Here's a 7. And snap it together and have me add a black pin. think we're good. So it's a common problem to attach something one stud or one pin away from, where you need to be. I'm looking for that other gear, and right this second, it's possible I left it mounted to the motor after calibration, and that is a no. Here it is. So this build is keeping me on my toes, even though it's not too complicated. And there is a lot of repeat. All right. Make sure I'm holding it in the right direction. Make sure I'm putting the top side up. Didn't quite do that right. Top side up. There. So it's showing me that I should feed my ribbon cables nice and neat over top of that spacer that I had previously installed. I like it. They really paid a lot more attention to detail with the cable management this time with this robot. It was a lot harder with the EV3. As far as I know, that's good. Oh, hi, Gray. Hey, Gray. I'm looking for that teal spacer. Here it is. Yeah, if I had this to go back and do over again, I would. Day one, not so much worried about counting my parts, but I would have spent a few more minutes organizing my parts before I got underway with my build. I really don't feel there was any rhyme or reason to how they had the parts in the bags, just that they shipped them. That was a little frustrating since I'm used to kit builds and there's a lot of attention paid to bag numbers and what you do in what order and that kind of thing. I guess the box for this, I believe, said 10 and up, if you're curious. Fairing part, and this one is number 3. I call this like a medium size. Yeah, this is 3. Just to put it up. This is 4. Symmetrical, reflective, actually. All right. So, yeah, you got to put the wrong one will not fit. It won't. It will absolutely tell you no. Thank you. I haven't seen that style connector piece yet in this build. I have to say that one is extra long. I'm used to these, which are 2 long, and this one is actually 3 long. So that one of those connectors goes in on both ends, just double checking there. That was what was supposed to work, will be happening. And now that gets added on. Again, this is a little, just a smidge frustrating here in that I can't see the left side where I'm attaching it to. We can guess now that we'll be putting the same fairing on the other side. Yep, that's exactly what we're doing. Although I have to say this is a different fairing piece. It's longer. This is, no, it says it's number 4. Now, I'm going to just say, having worked with the color sensor before, that part of what's going on here is a little bit of protection so that the color sensor is beaming into what it needs to see. The little shroud that we've kind of used the fairings to build around it. This should look familiar from the arm on the other side. It's very similar to what we had before. This is a 2. Don't want to pinch my ribbon wire. Want to do with it what they want me to do with it. But not pinched. Held in place, but not pinched. Next step is probably to mount. Oh, that's right. We got to do the shoulder. The shoulder for the other side now. You knew robots had shoulders, right? Getting ahead of myself and building it like I remember it went versus waiting for it to tell me to do certain parts. Let's see, these are going to go in down here. I just sort of can't help it. I would try to avoid doing that because just when you think you know what it's going to tell you to put, it's going to tell you to do something different on that side. But I saw ahead on the picture. Yeah, I see a trip to Harbor Freight for bins for the parts that just go to this new robot. I don't have any spares lying around. All right, I think we've got it. Yeah, remember the thing about, the thing about this shoulder piece is twofold. It's one, it's for looks to cover up the mechanism and make him look like he's got a shoulder, but it's also to hold these two round, we'll call it the shoulder joint, in place. All right, here we go. And now it wants us to mount this arm on the other side, which we most certainly can do. It's pointing toward the front the way it's supposed to. I did make one minor mistake. Easily fixed. The shoulder is backwards on this. I thought the pieces were the same, and they're not. It matters. I really didn't see that until I put it up there. It didn't fit right. Easily fixed. I would just say, even for guys, you really don't want your nails to be too short when you're working with Legos, because you will end up at some point needing to pull something apart and need leverage. And yeah. All right, now my shoulders look right. One flat part is long and one is short, and it mattered. And the first time I just got lucky, and the second time I didn't. And now it's going to tell me, I think, to connect the wires. So it does matter here. All right, it is putting the ultrasonic wire. Let's see if I can tell which is which now. That one goes to the color. This came from the ultrasonic. It wants that one on top. And remember, these ports are labeled A, B, C, D, E, F. And it really does matter which one goes in for the code that they gave me to, you know, to use, to borrow. It's going to matter. It really is. So I've got to pay attention here. And then, since I've used all three that are on the top, I guess for now it doesn't have me plugging in the other, because I am done through step 48. That's the last step, and it's not showing the color sensor plugged in yet. So that must be in the next set of instructions. So move his arms, press play, which is always this button down here, to make blast arms raise and detect when you get close to the distance sensor. What's the tip? Remember to connect to the hub by pressing the hub icon. Yeah, I got to turn my hub on. Well, remember, we do that just by pressing the power button for a few seconds. I don't know, that was more than a few. That was somewhere between 7 and 10. But he's coming to life now. And I am going to do as it tells me, my little tip, and say, yep, I need to insert the cable into the hub, but I want to do Bluetooth. So the hub is on, press the Bluetooth button on the hub, which is the smaller button. Wait for the search to find the hub. Now, I already did this one time, and it's down here. It's telling me it's found it, so I'm hitting connect. Hub was successfully connected, so I don't have to use the wire. That's the right answer because of that darn micro USB thing. I will not want my students connecting with the wire. All right. Looking good. Let's watch the video. These videos are really helpful so that you can, oh, his head's going to move here a little bit too. And then when he sees you, he goes back to like home position. I think that's what that was trying to tell us. All right, and here's the code. If I didn't make that clear, this code came with the kit. They give you basic movement code out of the box so you can be successful right off the bat. So let's just hit play and see if he moves. I'm going to hold on to the bottom of the breadboard here, turn him where you guys can see him better. Where's the ultrasonic? Oh, here. So he detected my hand, he made a noise, and he kind of went back to home position. I'm going to run it again. Pretty cool, huh? I believe that worked as expected. I'm going to hit the stop button now. I'm sort of not sure why it doesn't just stop after it executes, but it doesn't. It likes you to hit that little stop button, or it keeps on throbbing down there, and the throbbing is sort of annoying. I'm gonna zoom in on the code a little bit so we can actually see it. So when the program starts, set the center button light to red. Set orientation to left. That would be telling it which way the brick is positioned. Set animation to scanning. So that's what it's going to do with the lights. We saw that in parts one. We saw that in part one. Calibrate. This block gets blast ready to play. I do not have any additional information about that. And then it's turning on the motor plugged into D to make a turn for 1.8 rotations. It's telling the ultrasonic sensor in F to light up. And it's waiting until the ultrasonic sensor detects a object within 10 centimeters. So my hand was obviously within 10 centimeters when I did this. Play a sound, target acquired after it detects my hand, and then turn in the other direction for 1.8 rotations. So I think we saw a little bit of extra movement, and that is what they're calling a model block. So what happens when we click on that? Because I want to know about it. Will it let me see what's going on with that? Doesn't appear to, at least not right now. So let's run it one more time now that we've done the code walkthrough. That's calibration, I think. And that's the turn to the right. And it's just going to wait. It's going to wait until forever, really, until it senses an object. And then it made the sound and it turned back to the left, back to home. But the calibration definitely is causing some of that first motion. I built Robot Arm H25 several times in the past, and it had a little calibration thing to make sure it was centered, to make sure it started out in the right expected spot every time, and then you could move it left and right and do stuff with it. But so I think this calibrate here is very similar to that. And am I sure that I cannot get it to show me what's in that? Nope, I'm allowed to use that block, but I don't see a way to actually look at that block, at least not for right now. At any point, we have completed step 3, which was put his arms on. And next up's going to be put on his legs and watch him walk. And we'll get him off of the, little temporary breadboard stand. Although I have to say, Lego was pretty innovative here with providing a way to keep him upright while I'm building him, making it a little easier for me to build maybe, or to do the programming and watch what's going on without having to physically hold him up. So I do like this style of building, which is a little bit different than anything we ever did with the EV3, even for the ones that, Everstorm, which was a standing robot also. So would have had this, would have had the same problem as Blast. So, but I think that was pretty successful for getting our arms going. And obviously we're going to have to take off the brick head so that we can get up underneath there with this cable. But we're going to have the cables for the 2 leg motors. So my guess is it's just going to have us do all 3 of them at one time versus take it off now and then put it back on and then have to take it off again and put it back on one more time. So just a little guess there.